Welcome to Superstitions and Traditions. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Trish. I'm her aunt.
You are. You are my aunt. And today is Superstitions. And we, in honor of Women's History Month.
Yes.
Because it's March.
I do love yesterday, Women's History Day.
Yesterday was Women's History Day.
Happy Women's Day to everyone, all you women out there.
That's right. And it's Women's History Month.
Yes.
And we are going to talk about the stereotype of the crazy cat lady.
And I am not one.
I'm sorry.
I know. I wanted to be, but I'm
You
not.
still have your cat.
Well, she's
not as much fun to cuddle now.
I do kind of still. I pet her sometimes, but
Yes.
it's a lot different when she's in a box on the mantle.
It is.
But I did have almost 20 wonderful, beautiful years with Sophia.
Yes, you did. And she's still here.
Mm-hmm. See, I heard
Not
her.
as fun to cuddle.
And I do have the neighbor's cats that maybe I am a cat lady.
Ancient Egypt, they appreciated cats. They were a source of companionship, not only in life, but also in the afterlife. So whenever they found the Egyptian tombs and burial sites, there were mummified cats there also. And a lot of times with a little bowl. So I don't know that they understood exactly how death worked, but
you never know.
You never know.
The worst thing I think that could happen is you're in the afterlife and your cat's thirsty.
Right?
You know?
Well, theirs weren't. They were fine.
But can you find water to put in your bowl in the afterlife?
They made sure that when the tomb was sealed, there was something, water, I don't know, milk, food. I don't know what the bowl was for. I just know a lot of times when they found the mummified cats, several sometimes in one tomb, they each had their own little bowl.
And can you imagine? Who decides how much water you take with that?
I
mean,
who decides how many cats you get?
That's true. There's so many.
That's a lot of questions.
So many things out there.
There were lots of deities that were associated with cats. The main Egyptian deity was the goddess Bastet, and she was always depicted as a cat. And they were depicted a lot in art in ancient Egypt. They admired them for their complex, dual nature. They were soft and cuddly and graceful and gentle, but then aggressive, and
don't mess with me now.
Swift and dangerous at the same time. So
everything,
they had all of the
emotions, all the things.
Yes. Chinese cat goddess Li Shu was a symbol of fertility. In Norse mythology, Freya was a goddess of beauty and strength, and she rode a chariot that was pulled by two cats.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is Norse mythology and Freya.
Okay, wait, I'm getting a visual. Okay,
it's cool. Really, you'll have to Google it, see some of the depictions. It was cute. So we know ancient religions, Greek mythology had a lot of cats depicted. Diana was one that always had a cat. Roman mythology had a lot of cats depicted. And so we bump ahead a couple of centuries, and the Roman Catholic Church is stepping in.
Oh, of course they are. Okay, here we go.
So with the Roman Catholic Church, they showed up in the Middle Ages. Well, they showed up before the Middle Ages, but they gained popularity in the Middle Ages, and the reputation of cats with the church grew more.
Like, ooh,
they were naughty.
Bad. Associated with witches.
Yes.
All that stuff.
So not only were cats not loved by the Catholic Church, women who didn't fall within the social norms.
Marry young, produce offspring, be a good mother.
Correct.
Okay.
Live alone, that kind of thing. They weren't exactly loved by the Catholic Church either. So in an effort to save the world from the wiles of the devil, the Catholic Church started to take anything that was associated with pagan gods.
Okay.
And demonize it. So the first thing was cats. One of the first things was cats because cats were popular.
Yes, people love cats. We're not going to have any of that going on.
Yes. So they were rebranded as evil and sinister little critters running around with the spirit of the devil. That was actually...
Kittens. Think about kittens. How cute they are. Their little feet. And
they are just precious.
Whiskers. Any part of that makes me think demon. Now, some of them, when they're older, I get it.
I do too. Yes.
I get it. Yes.
If you lived in 1232, they were demons. So Pope Gregory IX in 1232 issued a papal bull wanting, kind of basically declaring war on the cats. And the reason he did this is because he was told by the papal inquisitor, who was like the detective, I guess.
From the Catholic Church detective that goes...
When they went and, people acted up and they...
had to go investigate.
Yes.
Okay.
So Conrad of Marburg was the papal inquisitor. He was able to get lots of information from people by way of torture, usually.
Oh, that doesn't sound right. But
that is how he got his confessions.
Okay.
So he carries this story back to Pope Gregory IX. Then Pope Gregory IX, in a letter to King Henry VII of Germany, he is describing a satanic ritual that involved the worshipping and kissing of the butt of kitty cat statues.
Not even the cat itself, just the statues.
Yes.
So
the exact wording of the letter, this is a direct quote: "A statue of a black cat about the size of an average dog descends backwards with its tail erect. First the novice, then the master, each one of the order who are worthy and perfect, kiss the cat on its hindquarters. They incline their heads towards the cat. 'Forgive us,' says the master, and then the one next to him repeats this." So they are asking for forgiveness from a cat statue that apparently walks backwards.
So that's the story that was told. The cat statue.
The story that was told during
torture. During torture. I think I could say a lot of things during torture. Walking backwards, and then they are kissing the hindquarters of the cat. Keep going, because then I'll have questions.
Okay. So he sends this letter to King Henry VIII. He then issues a papal bull declaring war on the cats. He believes that the cats carry Satan's spirit. All cats.
All of them do. That's how...
Satan has...
Not talking about toxoplasmosis. We're talking about Satan's spirit.
Now, when they say Satan's spirits, I don't know if they mean they're carrying around his brand of liquor.
Huh.
Or
like spirits back in the day you could go either way there.
Right.
Okay.
Or like the essence of Satan. I'm not sure, but that is what they believed.
I've had some wild cats, but still none.
Yeah, some wild cats. So during the years 1233 to 1234, there was a mass extermination of cats. If you were loyal to the church and to the Pope, you got rid of the cats.
Just random cats? Your cat, the neighbor's cat?
From the way I understand it, just cats.
Just cats.
You saw a cat, you took that little evil critter out.
All right.
Got rid of the critter. There is belief amongst some historians, and other historians dispute it, but that so many cats were killed that it caused a wave of the plague. It meant the plague increased, and
As a science teacher, just always remember an ecosystem is a very fragile thing. You can't go messing with things in the ecosystem. You mess it up. Yeah. Okay, keep going.
So that is disputed.
Predator-prey relationships are important. Okay.
The mass extermination of cats is actually what is disputed. We know for a fact that the fleas on the rats is what carried the plague.
Right, we know that. Right.
So, but whether or not there was a mass extermination of cats, that is disputed amongst historians. So we don't know for sure. But this belief carried on for a minute. And sullied the reputation of sweet little kitty cats.
Oh.
I know. How sad is that?
It's so very sad.
And not just one.
All
of the kitties. They're all
bad.
All were sullied. So in the Middle Ages, they are still being linked to paganism. Paganism is linked to witchcraft. And so now we're pretty sure that witches
love cats.
Yes.
Okay.
There was belief that a witch could shapeshift into a cat or used them as familiars to do their bidding.
Oh. Samantha, the teenage witch, her little kitty comes and talks to her. Yes. Okay. All right.
Yeah. And he was actually a warlock.
Before he became a cat, because he shifted?
Yeah, no, he was forced to become a cat as punishment for something
It's tricky out
there. Yeah.
Okay.
It's tricky out there.
Okay.
The first person to have ever been condemned for witchcraft, her name was Alice Keitler. And it was in 1324.
Okay.
So during her trial, it came out that she possessed an incubus that looked like a black cat. So there.
Did someone see it? Did they just say it? Did she have
She confessed to it.
Oh, she did? Okay. So
but again, torture.
Torture
You confess to a lot of things when you're being tortured.
Yes. I might even say I like liver during torture.
Right.
Okay, keep going.
Agnes Waterhouse, who was believed to be the first English woman executed for witchcraft in 1566. She confessed, while being tortured, that she had a pet cat, whose name was Satan, and she had instructed Satan to kill local livestock. Prior to her having kitty cat Satan,
okay,
the previous owner was also a witch, and that owner had Satan kill people.
So Satan the cat had two witch owners. The first had Satan killing people, and the second had Satan killing.
It was nice of
livestock.
Miss Agnes not to have her
curtailed it in
people.
Yeah.
At least she had, some kind of boundary for kitty cat Satan.
Okay.
I feel like she did well.
Oh. I think she did too. Well, as a teacher, there were different times when I would have to go do homeschool when they needed someone, with science to go do the homeschooling. And one of my students, at first I didn't know them before, but I go up there and they say, you can call me Satan. I said, oh no, we're not. Do you have another name? You don't. So we did choose another name and went by it. Keep going.
I'm glad there was an alternative. So this association migrates over to North America during colonial times. During the Salem witch trials, cats played an important role.
Oh, yes, they did.
Mm-hmm. They acted up pretty bad. Right there with those wild women and that one dude. A little tribe naughty happening.
Oh, poor little kitties.
I know it. So then the Victorian era.
Okay.
So 1800s.
We're all feeling pretty.
We're feeling pretty. We are, they just kind of pissed on anything traditional during the Victorian era and embraced a lot of weird things.
They're teenagers.
Yes, they were the teenagers.
Okay.
So the relationship between single women became associated with the ownership of cats during the Victorian era. So normal that there are newspaper reports about it. In 1880, the Dundee Courier wrote, "There is nothing at all surprising in the old maid choosing a cat as a household pet or companion. Solitude is not congenial to human nature, and a poor, forlorn female, shut up in the cheerless garret, brooding all alone over her blighted hopes, would naturally..."
Keep going, I'm sad.
Would naturally center her affections on some of the lower animals.
That almost sounds extremely wrong at the end, but okay.
The lower. So we kind of made the association between lonely, bitter old women
sitting at home forlorn
and
with their cat,
shirking the love of man's best friend. We can't have one of those higher class animals like a dog.
The lower ones,
lower class animals.
We aren't even good enough for the dog.
That's right. You get a cat. You get a cat in the Victorian era when you are shirking forlorn.
Forlorn. There we go.
A poor, forlorn female. But they were kind of seen as little harmless old maids.
Just sitting there with their little cats.
With their little cats.
Living their best.
Shut up. What was it? Shut up in a cheerless garret. Brooding all alone.
Sadness.
I know. Over her blightless
hopes. Oh my gosh, I think I may have had a period in life that might describe.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was just, like maybe a day or two, but I mean, it wasn't, my blightless hopes.
Your blightless hopes. They weren't necessarily embraced and loved, but they weren't feared, and we aren't killing their cats. So that was nice.
Okay, that was good.
They were harmless little old maids, spinsters.
Not witches.
And by the Victorian era, we're kind of over the whole
all the witch.
In the early 20th century, so the start of the 1900s, actually the late 1800s, women are fighting for the right to vote, not just in the U.S., but across the globe.
Yes.
So women's suffrage is big, gaining popularity. The start of the 20th century, we're getting closer, and we're scaring some men. I guess. I'm not real sure. But
don't we always scare men?
We probably always scare the men.
We always scare the men.
Okay. They start to adopt the anti-suffragists. So the people that are opposed to women voting. The suffragettes are putting out their own brochures out there, showing all the reasons women shouldn't be allowed to vote. And it's being countered with propaganda depicting cats. Some of them were really cute, and I have printed them off for myself to hang.
Do share.
One of them was a picture of a man, and I can't remember if he's cooking or ironing or something. He's doing some household tasks that men didn't have to do at that time.
Yes.
And there's a little baby sitting there and a little kitty cat sitting there. And across the top says, "I would have voted, but my wife wouldn't let me."
I do love that one. And the cat there was a cat in it?
There was a cat in it. There were others that just depicted a cat. One was a cute little fluffy kitty making a mean face with a big fluffy hat and a little shawl that had a button on it that said, "Give women the vote."
So if you wanted to vote and you were going through the women's suffrage movement, then
they are countering
back to the kitty again.
Again, I'm thinking, so my theory behind this, I don't really know why they picked cats. They didn't see that married women they had their husband to speak for them. So their husband was voting on their behalf, I'm sure.
Okay, so
taking them into consideration.
Yeah, so if you're married, you're obviously happily married, and you don't need to have any of those thoughts about voting or doing any of those things, and you have your husband that can do. Okay.
So if you're a single woman that lives with a cat,
with your hopeless blight,
and your forlorn, whatever.
Forlorn.
They're like
loins.
She's not voting. No woman is going to vote on behalf of herself. So if they're not, the husband isn't speaking for them. They're obviously letting the cat speak for them, or trying to speak on behalf of the cat. I don't know. Maybe they thought cats were going to get rights or something.
Poor little cats. They just. No wonder they don't really want much to do with us.
I know. I get it.
You all are wishy-washy. One day you like us, then you don't, and then we're...
So, it acted as a means to depict the suffragettes as, not the best animal. They're the cats. Again. The cats are the naughty animals. The ones that don't want affection and want to run the world and do their own thing. And I mean, we've all seen the meme of the cat pushing something off the globe or whatever it is if they ruled the world.
Right.
So they're like,
the cat is my spirit animal.
The cat is the suffrage. And it also associated women's rights with that cat as like a nod to the type of women that wanted to vote. The men haters, those lonely old, bitter, angry women. Because, if you don't have a man,
that's right. Yes.
You are just mad at the world.
Well, so you
How can you be happy without one?
Well, I have made it this long. No offense. I love men. Not in that way. I love men. I just, there's just,
you don't need to keep one as a pet.
Right.
And if you choose not to keep one as a pet, you are only allowed cats. And you are sad.
Oh, I wonder how the dogs feel about all this. Because they may have wanted to live with a single suffragette too, but no, just the cats.
Just the cats.
Just the cats. Okay.
So that kind of stayed the trope for a while. And then we move into the 20th century, the end of the 20th century. And we have Edith Bouvier and her daughter. Edith Bouvier was the daughter. The mother was Edith Bouvier Beale.
Okay.
And these are relatives of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. They have the most interesting story, which I'm not going to get into all of it here because we don't have time. But in 76, so they were kind of living in poverty and living in a mess. They made poor choices in life. And little Edith, her desire was to be famous, and she wanted to act and sing, and that never really happened for her.
Oh.
They were living in squalor. So the mother and daughter invited a documentary or some kind of film. There was a film about them called Grey Gardens. And what was the most notable, 14-bedroom, huge.
Oh, wow.
Mansion.
Okay.
The two of them live together by themselves. It is trashed.
Lots of room for cats.
Lots of room for cats. It's just dirty. And lots of cats.
Oh, they had lots of cats.
They had lots of
cats.
Also raccoons.
Oh.
They were there. Okay. I don't know if they were pets or not, but they were there.
Visiting or
living.
Okay.
And so it ended up being viewed as more of a cautionary tale of what happens.
Well, I do worry about toxoplasmosis.
All right. So now there's the science side.
I don't really worry about toxoplasmosis, but I do know that there's some connection between maybe the mental stuff going on with women who have cats that are single, and that maybe there was something in the cat that caused them to get a little crazy, a little bit of schizophrenia, a little bit of other things.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
It happens every once in a while.
So there really truly is some scientific evidence, a hypothesis. You can always find data. As a scientist, I will tell you can always find data that will support or refute your hypothesis. You just have to understand where the study came from and where it does. So what we know about toxoplasmosis is it is a eukaryotic parasite. Okay. Go back to your biology. Don't love the word eukaryote, prokaryote. But eukaryotic parasite that does have two life cycles. The definitive host. It does require a host. A parasite has to have a host in order to reproduce. Right. So you have the definitive host, which can allow the little guy, toxoplasmosis, to carry out sexual reproduction. Okay, which is the only host that can allow that to happen is a feline, because there's a certain enzyme that's found in the stomach.
Do you think this is the double spirit?
That is what I was wondering back. It is.
The devil.
Dun, dun, dun. It was the arousing acid. Dun, dun, dun. But, so there's also the intermediate host.
Okay.
Everybody else, just about every other living mammal is an intermediate host. So you can, if you eat a little rat, or I don't know why you would eat a rat. Please don't.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But if you eat a little animal that does have toxoplasmosis, then you ingest it. It goes into you. It forms a cyst because you can be an intermediate host. Okay, and then it stays in there until sometimes it can stay in there for a long time. It can go latent and stay, but then you kind of can eliminate the cyst through fecal material, which is how cats release it, through fecal material. So when the eggs or the cysts are released in fecal material, then they can be absorbed and can spread the disease.
So the cats, what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, because I gave you a quick science view there.
What I'm hearing you say is we have evidence of cats actually carrying Satan's spirit, and they poop it out and unleash it on the world.
That is one way to read the data.
Okay.
Interpret the data. Okay, we can interpret the data that way.
All right, that's my hypothesis.
Okay, or we can interpret the data a little bit differently.
Okay.
But I do like your ways with the arousing spirits. But the point is that there are questions as to whether, because there have been people that have had some issues when they've had it. And toxoplasmosis is, we don't have time to go into all of it because we could spend an hour. Probably 50% of the population around the world, they say at some time, or has carried toxoplasmosis. Some of the cysts sometimes can stay in there, never go away, so your entire lifetime you may carry them. Okay, they can embed themselves in the brain and deep tissue as they try to form a cyst in order to keep you, because the host, the whole job that little thing is to do is to reproduce. That's its purpose in life. So it's going to do whatever it needs to do to reproduce. And if you're the host, it's going to, and you're shedding it off during poop, it's going to try to hide away and find this little place to get safe. And
just like the devil.
Yes, it is. And it's going to hunker down in there and stay for a while. And sometimes it stays for a long time, and it can, there can be some issues that are caused with it. Now, does that make you a crazy cat lady? Most scientists say, even the Center for Disease Control says, don't get rid of your cats. So don't go out there and get rid of your cats. Don't get rid of your cats. Okay?
More than likely, you probably already have it anyway. So.
And you're more likely to get it from eating raw vegetables or from gardening or from doing all of those things than you actually are from your cat. So nobody be mean to your cats. But, the life cycle of toxoplasmosis and how it happens, it's just, the fascinating science.
It is fascinating science.
There is an evolutionary science between, which this is fascinating, mice and the little cat, that when the mice get the toxoplasmosis, that they have actually done a lot of studies on now the little, because it does release, toxoplasmosis does cause you to release dopamine, which is that feel good, no inhibitions, no cares, get out there. So then these cute little rats are like, woohoo, little kitty, I'm not afraid of you, I like you. So was that the co-evolution of two species there? I mean, was the toxoplasmosis going? But all kind of neat stuff. So go ahead.
I had read that they become like attracted to the smell of cat urine and will run towards it instead of away.
Being away from it normally, because that is an evolutionary process for them is to run away in order to keep the rats safe. Well, now they're like,
I like that.
I like that. I'm coming that way. And there have been studies that have proven that some of that does happen with the rat, to the extent they're still working to go and to figure out how severe it is.
It's not
the fatal feline attraction is, because they.
I do love that that's what it's called.
And if you read about the studies, it's so cute because you can just see the little mice there. It's how my little brain goes, is watching all the little mice and they're exposing them to scary things and cat urine. I mean, it fascinates me, and I don't mean, but, and then it says that they lose their general anxiety. So to me, I'm thinking a world of happier mice.
Happier mice.
For a brief minute until obviously, because the cat gets them. They say that 40 million people in the United States may carry the parasite. So
what is that? A little more than 1/10 of our population?
Don't eat raw meat.
Don't eat raw meat.
If you're going to be out gardening, wear gloves, because a lot of times you're in the soil where a cat has been or something has been, and then the toxoplasmosis, the spores or the cyst will be found in the soil. Then you transfer that. There can be a buccal transfer where you ingest if you have it on your hands, or you wipe your nose, or you
make sure you wash your fruits and vegetables.
Wash your fruits and vegetables. And there have been latent toxoplasmosis, where you'll have symptoms, and the symptoms are really mild if you do have it, like a fever, and it's kind of like flu-like symptoms at first, but then a lot of times the symptoms will go away, and then that'll develop into latent toxoplasmosis, and it'll kind of lay dormant as the cyst begin to migrate to different areas, and then sometimes if your immune system becomes compromised, then you can advance to the latent stages, which they think there's some connection, they think, between schizophrenia, Parkinson's disease, bipolar disorder, suicide attempts, traffic accidents. They have found some
love that traffic accidents is in there. You're going to run a stop sign.
We're going to watch it. So, again, the food chain and the world is a wonderful place. You got to love a protozoan.
You do have to love a protozoan.
You got to love eukaryotic protozoan. But they do believe that a lot of it is because of the neural inflation associated with
the cysts of the Toxoplasm gondii.
And there was one study that I read that they're actually looking for the positive effects of toxoplasmosis, because you lose anxiety in a lot of terms. So it's like I can't say definitively that you will not become the crazy cat lady, but I would say that science is in your favor, that it's not going to happen, but that there are cases where some things, that behavioral changes may occur. If you think you may have toxoplasmosis, I feel like I should give a CDC. If you feel like you may have toxoplasmosis, please consult your physician. They can do a test.
Well, all right. So now I have more to think about.
But again, do not live in fear, and do not go get your cat, because the majority of people are exposed. Nothing happens. There's rare cases when things are going to happen no matter what the situation is. Disclaimer, we are not a physician, so we are not saying.
However, if you are not a person who loves science, feel free to hold on to the fact that it is the devil's spirit pooped out of the cat.
And look up some information on toxoplasmosis if you're worried, because if you clean your litter box, once it's pooped out, it takes it, like 3 to 4 days before it actually becomes, viable. So during that time, you can't transmit it. So if you clean it every day, then you have a better chance of not passing it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Try not to eat raw meat. Try not to hang out and garden and pick your nose or do all of those things. Just practice. Practice hygiene. We are all about hygiene.
That's right. Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your cat lady days.
Yes. Enjoy your cat. Give your little cat a kiss. Hug your cat. And remember, Women's Month. Get out there.
Women's History Month.
Women's History Month. Get out there and
embrace your inner cat lady.
Embrace your inner cat lady and share the love.
That's
Always
right.
Share the love. And study science.
And study science.
Okay.
And history.
And history.